to describe like the day before 249, it was like the best day ever. It was 65 degrees and sunny. The course was just like, I mean, I had never been out on Marathon Mondays, so I had never experienced a day in my life. I had just seen it on TV, and you know, you see it on TV, it looks cool, but in person, it was just amazing. Like the crowd support, like everyone, you know, names on your chest or something, but everyone's screaming your name, and so much that you think like they actually know you somehow, because like, you know, they're that into it and like encouraging you, and like they see that, you know, your bib is running for whatever charity you're running, they call it out and they thank you, and it's just like the best day ever. I'd finished around 2:15 or so, and I was making my way through the crowds. It was really crowded at that point, so it took me like 10-15 minutes just to like, you know, I was mentally and physically exhausted, so just to take a minute and like take it all in. I didn't have anyone waiting for me at the finish line, so I just had, you know, kind of time to float around and like calm down and get my water and get my food and just kind of like, for me, like decompress a little bit. And so I basically stopped the first volunteer I saw. They look up this gym and they're like, yeah, you know, it's a quarter mile down, and they send me on my way and like carry my things out with me, and you know, it was great. And they start bringing me on the wrong side of Boylston, which is where both bombs went off. And like they literally gave me my bag and sent me on my way and said goodbye and good luck. And then one of them says to the other, like, wait a minute, should we check what side of the street it's on? And they were like, yeah, you know, you won't be able to cross if it's just a quarter mile down. There's, you know, no way you can get across Boylston at that point. So they check on the phone, they're like, oh, it's on the other side of the street. Good thing we didn't send you that way, because you just wouldn't be able to cross the street, which sounded like the worst thing at the time, not being able to cross the street to get to the gym. And as it turns out, like, that 5-10 minutes of just meandering and wandering the other way on the other side of the street, they ended up bringing me to the other side of the street, send me on my way that way, and I ended up making it like literally 2 minutes down the street to Clarendon Street, so about a block away from the finish line, when I heard the first explosion, and you know, saw the smoke, and you know, then you're just sort of like confused and not knowing what's going on, and you know, there's a lot of confusion at the time, and then you hear the second one, you're pretty sure that something, you know, not good is going on. The difference for me was just that meeting the right person at the right time and talking to them for, you know, 2-3 minutes extra here and there, and because of that, like, I'm walking around today and Martin Richard is not. So that's the reason I run for the foundation today, is, you know, I might not technically have anything to owe them, quote unquote, but it feels like a lot more than that, because where I was so lucky to be able to, you know, have 2 legs even, and my hearing and my, you know, my sense of sight, like the Richard Foundation or the Richard family has each lost something, whether it be a little bit of sight or a little bit of hearing or a leg or life.
In those coming days after the bombing, that picture circulated of Martin holding that sign, and it had little words on it, but it spoke volumes to me. It was just a message I took to heart, and when I learned that they were forming a foundation for him and that they'd have a team, I just felt compelled to run and apply for them. So when the applications came out that September, I applied and crossed my fingers and waited to hear the answer if I made it or not. My kids know Martin. They know his mission. They do peace all the time. You know, so they'll be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I gotta go into Boston and run. They're like, you run for Martin? And I'm like, I'm running for Martin today. You know, so I mean, and it makes me smile. As you look back and you're saddened by what happened, you know, and I mean, I'm sad that that little boy is no longer here, but I'm also proud and honored that I can continue to let people know who he is and what he was about. And I hope my kids grow up, you know, knowing who he is and spreading his message as well, and being as kind and, you know, generous as he was.
Powerful testimony on the second day of the Marathon bombing trial. The father of the youngest victim took the stand, describing the moment he realized his son Martin would not survive.
One thing that really stood out for me was how humbled Martin's parents are. I mean, I remember at the trial how almost everybody in Boston wanted the death penalty. And I remember reading an article of Martin's dad saying they didn't want that. They didn't want any other parent to have to go through what they went through. And I was like, you're right. Like I was very angry, but after that, like I was humbled. Like how can you not want that? Like, you know, like your whole life was disrupted, and you know, and I was like, I give them props, and I don't know if that's a decision I could make. I don't know if I could be that strong as they are. So I think every day that they just continue to show me that anything's possible, you know, and that kindness does win. I can't really describe how they've changed my life, but they've changed it in so many different aspects, from being a better person and a better mom, you know, to honestly knowing that tomorrows aren't promised, you know, and I try to live that way. You know, I take the moment to, you know, live in that moment and cherish the little things in life. And I think I always did well at paying it forward and acknowledging people and, you know, just doing random acts of kindness, but I try to make it like an everyday part of my life and my kids' life to know that, and that was an important part of their mission, was kindness and Martin's legacy. Every mile that day for my first marathon was just a dream. I don't remember running, it was raining, the weather was terrible, but I remember when I was crossing that finish line and I looked to the right and I saw the Richards family there, I honestly, like, I took a deep breath and I'm like, how are they there? You know, like, that's the very spot that changed their life forever.
No one would have been, you know, upset or mad with them if they never wanted to be a part of the marathon again. If they didn't create a charity, like that's, you know, it's a lot of work to create a charity and do, you know, do this thing in the name of your son and be reminded every day that, you know, his life was taken too early. But instead of, you know, taking their time and, you know, going away from it, they stepped up and, you know, they came back the next year, 6 months later, and created this foundation. And all the people that run for it are the same type of people.
This year, after I gave the speech, Martin's dad was speaking, and there was one thing that really stood out to me in his speech, and that was they always, as parents, wanted Martin to live a full life. And I sat there, and I've told people that before, that was kind of something that stuck out, and they're like, well, they kind of look at you, and I'm like, I know, how is that possible? You know, because unfortunately he isn't here anymore with us. But when you think about it, what each of us runners are doing, we are making Martin live a full life by raising the money, by, you know, spreading his message of peace and kindness, and doing everything we can to help the Richards make Martin live a full life. And I think that's why I do it every day. You know, it's not always fun. The runs are terrible in the rain and the snow and the ice, but when you think about that picture of that little 8-year-old boy holding that sign, I want my kids to know, you know, that anything's possible.
One of the things that would stick with me for, you know, until this day is just that you can't choose the challenges that life throws at you, but you can choose the way that you respond to those challenges.
So you can keep me inside the pocket of your ripped jeans, holding me closer till our eyes meet. You won't ever be alone. Wait for me to come home. Loving can heal. Loving can mend your soul. And it's the only thing that I know. I swear it will get easier. Remember that with every piece, yeah. And it's the only thing with us when